As we begin our morning reflection, wonderful day, dear listener. And today, basically, I'm talking about something that we just kind of stumbled onto last week, based on something that I said. And I said, let me talk about this because it's affecting most of our families, it's affecting most of our homes, and many a times we find ourselves in the middle of a lot of, a lot of difficulty because of this. It's a very sensitive subject, but again, I believe this, that we always have one commitment, is that we'll always be able to talk about even that which is uncomfortable, but we'll be able to see our families and our homes grow. So today I'm talking about, dear listener, the black man tax, understanding the black man tax. Understanding the black man tax. And what do I mean by this? For those of you who are not tuned in last week, is that many times, especially when you have been born and raised in Africa, there is an understanding, that when you succeed, and if you succeed, then there is, apart from the usual tax that the government takes, there is that particular price you pay for succeeding. What's the price you pay for succeeding? Is that you are expected silently or verbally to be able to take care of every other person in the village. There's a financial need that comes around in the entire village that involves you. That's what I call the black man tax. Of course, it can fall on a woman as well. I'm saying man in terms of mankind. But it's a black man tax in that, that at times you find that there are people who went out and were able to succeed and got jobs, but were unable to grow themselves. They were unable to improve themselves because they are paying the black man tax, which is that because you have succeeded, you have a responsibility to shoulder every financial burden. You have a responsibility to ensure that every relative stays in your house. You have a responsibility that ensures that everyone in the village, cousins, can come to you and be able to also expect you to stand for them. Now, the problem is this, is that the lack of understanding of how to manage it is what now can bring chaos in our lives, because there are people who are in debt, there are those who have been auctioned, there are those who have lost their homes, who haven't been able to build, that even the people that you have been supporting end up doing more with their lives than you who was doing it in the first place. So, dear listener, yes, what is the black man tax? It's actually the price that is paid, I say this, by an African, for succeeding. But after I've succeeded, there's a price I pay, which is to ensure that I have no other choice but to meet all other financial responsibilities for the entire village. Number one, how do you understand it? The first thing you need to do, dear listener, is this. Don't sacrifice your personal goals and ambitions. You don't sacrifice your own personal goals and ambitions for the black tax. Any assistance that should be given should not be at the expense of your own ambitions and plans. If you feel that this particular assistance I'm going to give is going to sabotage my own dreams and my own plans, then, dear listener, there is no crime in looking the other way. Because many a times people sacrifice their own dreams and their own ambitions to pay the black man tax. And at the end of the day, you find that people who you helped are the ones who start saying, na wewe umekuwa mata hujai jenga. Yet the time ulifaa kujenga is the time you diverted all your resources to sacrifice yourself, that other person will be able to get something that they wanted. Do not sacrifice your personal goals and ambitions. If you find it sabotaging, dear listener, it's okay to look the other way. Number two, you must remember this about the black man tax, is that you are not God. You will never be God. And if at all you are not there, now this will sound very, very crude, but if at all you are not there, trust me, dear listener, the people who depend on you will find a way to survive. If you are not there, the people who you are supporting will find a way to survive. You are not their oxygen. You have never been their oxygen. Simply put, don't burden yourself with the assumption that if I don't pay this black man tax, if I don't support, if I don't help, they will not survive. Ni mimi ndio lazima nishikilie familia. Nisipofanya hawatatoboa. Actually, if you die today, watatoboa bado. They will find a way, dear listener. And this is where people get stuck. You assume that you are God and they can't find another way. Actually, if you don't exist, they will find another way. Number three, always work within your income. This is another problem with black man tax. I've seen people in my office who are being auctioned, who are being pursued by debt collectors because, dear listener, they were paying this price but not within their income. If you earn 30,000, you earn 30,000. I don't see why you begin to get into unexplainable debt because a cow fell in the ditch, or because I don't know what happened to someone's daughter, that my cousin's sister's daughter was chased away from school and they came to my house and I had no choice. Ilibidi nichukue loan, nilipia mtoto school fees. This is what happens, dear listener. If it's a loan you have to take, dear listener, let it be literally a matter of life and death. Literally, life and death. I normally say this when it involves especially the health of parents. There, life and death, you can say fine. Because my mom requires treatment and I can access a facility of 2 million, I will take it. But reconcile with this fact that it's not a family loan, it is your personal loan. Mzigo ya kulipa ni yako. And never get angry and say watu wanisaidie kulipa. Ni wewe ulipeleka ukachukua loan. And have that in mind. But I always say, work within your income. If you can't afford to pay for your cousins, sisters, brother, uncle, child's school fees, then, dear listener, you can't. And you work within your income. We break our backs at times on things that are not really worth breaking our backs for. If it's life or death, is when you are allowed to work outside your income. If it's not life and death, don't work outside your income. Number 4, this one is for parents. Parents have a responsibility to protect their children from the black man tax. It's the responsibility for parents to shield the children from the entire village. Because your child's success is your child's success. Don't send the whole clan to your son or to your daughter. But in the village, my daughter in Nairobi is a very successful lawyer. Ukifika Nairobi, enda mahali fulani muulize atakusaidia. And this is a mistake that times parents make. That they burden the children, that the children now begin paying the black man tax by force. Go to Nairobi, I have my daughter there. And this is a random person she has met at the soko. And as a parent, if someone at the soko, na unamtuma kwa mtoto wako, ukifika pale Nairobi, enda kwa ofisi fulani, uliza mtu fulani, mwambie mimi ndio nimekutuma. Parents have to protect their children from the black man tax. I had this being said by one of a very famous man, said this once. This guy called Trevor Noah. He said that the moment he succeeded, the one person who helped him the most was his mother, because his mother protected him from the entire village. As a parent, you have that responsibility. Number 5, if you marry someone who is paying the black man tax, you need to support them and not criticize them. Now, what do I mean by this? Is that because you found them already paying this price, usimwambie they're taking advantage of you. Usimwambie waache kukusumbua. No, don't criticize. You must understand the background of this person. But how do you support? You find a way that is more sustainable for them to be able to continue this thing and phase it off over a period of time. Because you don't also come into a family and you begin to change rules overnight. If you found a woman taking care of her siblings, paying for her sister's school fees, all those school fees, when you come into her life, don't come and say, sister yako tutacha kumlipia school fees next week, they're taking advantage of you. No. You come and understand that this has been happening. But now, how do I support you as your spouse to help you come out of this? That you're able to support them, yes, but in a phased way. But you don't become a crutch they use for the rest of their lives, but that they can go and succeed by their own. So you don't criticize, you support. Number 6, if you're paying the black man tax and you're married, you have to disclose the details of this to your partner. Tell them the extent of your involvement, and also develop a habit while doing this of thinking nuclear. What does Victor Salamba mean by thinking nuclear? Thinking nuclear is, let me think about my wife, my children first in this decision. Let me think about my husband, my children first in this decision. Then from there, I will think extended. If I think nuclear, I can think extended. If I think extended, nuclear will suffer. If I think nuclear, extended might not suffer. Let's be clear. If the nuclear family is standing well, the nuclear family can support the extended family better. But if the extended family is stronger than the nuclear family will never survive. This is where extended families break marriages. A marriage only stands if the nuclear family is stronger than the extended family. If it works out, then dear listener, you are on the right path. Therefore, I'm saying this, that if you are a man or a woman who is doing this, who is paying the black man tax, dear listener, understand this. Tell your partner, hapa ndio niko, hii ndio nalipanga, na supporting huyu, na supporting yule, na supporting yule. Let them know. This, dear listener, will protect you a lot, because your family will not suffer because now they understand and you are thinking nuclear, dear listener. Number 7, before I go on this break, if you are a beneficiary, wale wa kusaidiwa, be humble and grateful. The worst thing that happens in most families is that people assume that because the person succeeded, and this falls on firstborns a lot, and I feel for firstborns so much, because firstborns many times pay this price more than any other child. But the problem is people who are supported end up acting as though it is their God-given right to be supported. And it is not your God-given right. The most painful thing is that someone sacrificed their dreams, their goals to pay your school fees. Then when they need you, you begin to misbehave. Unaanza kumwambia unafaa kujibudget vizuri. Na wakati alikuwa ajibudget, alibudget school fees yako ndani. Alibudget rent yako ndani. Or someone, you find that someone gets so annoyed because someone was helping you in a particular place, akawacha at some point because of their own financial needs. You begin making noise. Now there are those I know who are listening to me today who are in this bracket where people sacrificed in the family, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, someone sacrificed to help you with rent, to help you pay school fees. And you talk as though their money is your legal right. That's the problem we have, as Africans, let me say that, is that it's easier for us to actually act as though someone else's resources are our legal right. And it is not your legal right. Appreciate. If you wanted 100,000 and they gave you 3,000, appreciate. Usianze kelele ati amenipea tu 3,000 peke yake na akona mingi. Dear listener, the person who's benefiting from the black man tax, be humble and be grateful, dear listener. After this very short break, dear listener, I will continue with the remaining very few points. I am Victor Salamba, dear listener, and I'm talking about, dear listener, what we call, dear listener, the black man tax. And I say that this is basically the price you pay many a times, dear listener, just at times for the assumption, not even because you're successful, but the assumption that you're successful. I said it's what happens many times in our society, where it is expected that because you have been able to have a job, because you've been able to get a degree, because you've been able to get, you have some gainful income, then it's expected that you are supposed to shoulder and carry every other single burden around. And I'm talking about that today. Remember, I'm not saying that don't help, or I'm not saying don't support. I'm just trying to bring an enlightenment about it, that we don't find ourselves in situations where you're being auctioned because you took a loan to pay for your cousin's school fees. You find yourself being auctioned because people have seen people losing their jobs, and because of debts, simply because they were unable to understand how to manage what I'm calling the black man tax. Basically, I said it's just the price you pay for being successful, or for people assuming that you're successful. So what I'm talking about is that I don't want you to say Victor is saying don't help, but I'm trying to bring understanding on how it should be done, because marriages are breaking because of this. People are failing to move forward because of this. Siblings are fighting because of this, and it's because simply of the lack of understanding of how to navigate it. Number 8, dear listener, is be honest about what and you cannot do. Be honest about what you can and cannot do. Don't push limits and burn out yourself because society expects you to give back. If you can't, you can't. You have never been Jehovah Jireh. You will not be Jehovah Jireh, and no one should expect you to be Jehovah Jireh. There's only one provider, and it's not you. So you understand sometimes and be honest. Ukweli hii siwezi. I cannot do this. And reconcile with it. The problem is, of course, if you can and you choose not to. Now there, of course, it's selfishness. But if you are unable to, dear listener, you are unable. You're not Jehovah Jireh. Don't break yourself because you're Jehovah Jireh. No. Number 9, teach people how to fish. You have to reduce handouts and bailouts. I repeat, teach people how to fish, reduce handouts and bailouts. I normally talk about this so much in many of my talks. When I talk about families and finances. And I say always reduce handouts and bailouts. Always, always, always. Because one problem we have in many times in society is the reliance on bailouts and handouts. And many times, even when people come and ask for financial help, very few people will tell you, teach me how to make money, or share with me the wisdom how you are able to move from point one to point B, because we came from the same village, and I see you are driving a Mercedes Benz. How did you get there? Or I see you have a big car. I see you have a big house. I see you have a good business. How did you get there? Share with me the wisdom, your work ethic, what got you where you've gotten to. The problem we have in a society is that we don't ask those questions. And number two, we don't share this information. So when someone wants your help, you are willing to give them, here's money for rent. Take 3K, take 5K, take 10K. Over time, what happens? You cripple them. And you don't end up easing a generational burden. This burden, dear listener, now becomes a generational burden. Because now you have begun to put a culture of bailouts and handouts. Remember that begging, dear listener, is an addiction in its own right. There are people addicted to begging. I'm sorry to say that. So you must understand that in this society, I mean, the village I come from, if people come to me today and say, nilipie rent, what can you do? Or let me take you somewhere, go do some work, go carry some crates, find your way. We must teach people, dear listener, how to be able to look for their own resources. If all of us succeed, it's even better for the entire society than if one person succeeds and has to carry the rest. Number 10, dear listener, you have to have thick skin. Remember, human beings are ungrateful by nature, so you have to have thick skin. If you are assisting someone, reconcile with the fact that they will never appreciate, and don't take it personally. Also, when you cannot assist, don't take it to heart, be firm and don't budge. Translation: if you help, dear listener, they will talk badly about you. If you don't help, they will still talk badly about you. So have thick skin. Kama mama kusaidia mtu, msaidie. Don't expect thank you, don't expect gratitude, fanya ukiendanga. Because either way, if you help or don't help, if people want to talk badly about you, they will still talk badly about you. Reconcile na. Wacha kupeana kesi kwa family meetings na kwa matanga ati nilisaidia huyu, nikasaidia huyu, hamnanga asanti. Have thick skin. Kama unasaidia mtu, msaidie. Na reconcile the fact, hata isema asanti na usonge mbele. Na ukimsaidia akiongea mbaya, pia reconcile with that. Human beings are selfish. You'll give someone 10,000, they will say that you should have given them more because you have more. That's how life is. Don't take it to heart. Number 11, know when to stop and when to say no. The most effective way to protect yourself from the pain of the black man tax, dear listener, is know when you have to stop and when to say no. Those two are important skills. But hapa nimesaidia hapa sana, I have to stop now. I'm beginning to build a bad dependency. Or today, I will not do it, I won't support this. And lastly, dear listener, you have to have a time limit. Have a time limit. Budget, have a structure. Don't just be one for all and all for one. Have a structure. Involve your partner. Have timelines. And specifics, and that you don't get in a hole you can't come out of because of the black man tax. Tell your partner, involve your spouse, maybe I'm helping so and so, and I want to help them for the next 6 months, and I think I can give them 4K for the next 6 months, that I can sustain. Have timelines. Don't have eternal flows of support. Have timelines. I'll support this for 6 months, this for 3 months, this is one-off. Always have timelines. Involve your spouse, dear listener, for the betterment of yourself and your family. It will be available on my Facebook page, Victor Salamba, during the course of the day, dear listener.